So it's our great pleasure tonight we have Gabriela Langholf as our guest speaker. Gabriela is a member of a very important collective, named the Center for Political Beauty. The center is founded in 2009, and it makes a series of operations with the partners throughout Europe. It includes a term, radical humanism. It's coined for the work of the center in addressing the questions such as human rights, migrant crisis, or the responsibility that arises out of history. Why the work of this collective is so important? It relates to the context of the change in the notion of art as a result of different circumstances and conditions, when even the institutions in culture, like Museum of Contemporary Art, are not operative, cannot address the political and social challenges. For that reasons, even we discussed this before, these transgressions from the field of art to the field of politics is necessary. These transgressions implicated a series of questions, such as what shape does art takes today, this radical art, or what sort of imaginary, ethical and political horizons animates this kind of radical art. So these questions are very important for understanding the work of the collective. Gabriela, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you very much also for the invitation to Skopje. I'm really happy to be here. I'm Gabriela Langholf. I'm member of the Center for Political Beauty since around 2014. I started, and the collective exists since around 2009. They started with the first smaller projects. Maybe to describe what we do, I start with some quotes that are not from us, but from some outside perspectives. For example, there's the Center for Political Beauty is a new kind of medium. They create the news they'd like to see themselves. This is Georg Dietz, it's a journalist. At this time, he was working for Spiegel in Germany. The operations of the Center for Political Beauty are drastic and provocative. They are large-scale productions that pit society, politics, and the media against each other without a permanent stage or ensemble. And another one, the operations of the Center for Political Beauty are real bombshells. It can be said, at least for Germany, that for a long time there has been no political art that has managed to generate such a maximum effect. Just some example from outsiders. We call what we do aggressive humanism. It means that everything, the whole work that we do is surrounding humanism and what does it really mean, and to not be careful when it comes to humanism, but to stand for it in a radical and aggressive way, and to not step to the side as soon as it gets a bit risky or criticized. So one of the main reasons that the founders of the center were asking themselves and that the work turns around is the question of empathy. And how does empathy work? Why some are able to feel it more, for some we feel it less, or as soon as it's a big mass of people, we are not able to feel empathy anymore. It's also a psychological question. For one person, for two persons, it's easy to feel empathy. But why does it stop when it comes to a big amount of people? And also why for some we should feel empathy, and for some others, politically, maybe it's not wanted that we feel empathy because it gets in the way of some common politics. And Yeah, it's a center we are thinking about the role of moral conscience. So the question of beauty, we don't mean beauty in an aesthetic way. We mean it as a moral beauty, the beauty of good actions in the sphere of politics. So what does it mean to put moral conscience in the center of every action? For example, the EU talks a lot about human values. They expect a lot regarding human rights, also from countries that want to join the EU. But the members themselves, at the moment, they lack the very basics of human rights. For example, people drown in the Mediterranean with the help of EU finances. The climate catastrophe, there's no real political will to change. The rich countries want to stay in their comfortable positions, and there's no empathy for the places all over the world that suffer already a lot from the consequences. Or we see bombing of Gaza now. It's justified in a political way from the whole West, so-called Western countries, while the rest of the world is wondering how this will really eliminate terrorism. So what do we need now? I think we need other countries now to remind the West of its own values, of its own words, what it always suggests to the whole world, but to remind also what it really means. And there's a lack of political will to put human life really and to put the value of life in the center of politics, not just in words, but in actions. There's not much space in politics for these kind of ideas. So this is where we jump in and where we say where the political sphere is too bureaucratic, too cold, and there's a big lack of ideas. So we say we need the freedom of art, we need the sphere of art in order to create these ideas and to have the freedom of thought to create the ideas about the world that we want and to think about the world we want to live in without pragmatic or bureaucratic limitations. The freedom to create utopias, like this, we see it like a factory, or we need many factories of ideas, and this freedom of art can help to rethink the utopias that we want to live in. Without automatically limiting ourselves to the bureaucratic steps that are there. And the second thing why we also need art is the way to communicate it. It's a different attempt, and it's not touching only the mind, the ratio, but it's a way how we can touch the feelings also, the emotions of a society and of individuals. The inspiration, we take it, our main concept is to take it from history. This is also why our members wear the black spots in the face. It's from the how do you say in English? The tracks, like what is left behind when we search in the history. And we get dirty, the remains of the history that we search in and that we take as an inspiration for our acts nowadays. And with the remains from history, we create the reality, and we take it as an inspiration to create we call it hyper-realism. We step with the sphere of art, we step into reality, into the politics. And this is how intervenes the arts with the reality. And what I will do now is I will go through examples. It's the best way, I think, to understand our work, is not to just theoretically explain it, but to show some, we call it Aktionen in Germany. It has this tradition of Aktionskunst. It's like action art. I think it's the easiest to go just through some of the projects we did. And the examples, what we say, how the power of imagination can meet the power of history in order to create reality, hyper-reality. And the first example, what I will show here, is the Federal Emergency Program. It's a project, it was in 2014, in summer 2014. And I think it was one of the first bigger projects that the center did, and that got a wider audience and recognition in Germany. And this is a good example how we work with history, for example. We took a real event from history. There was an emergency transport program by Great Britain in 1938, when most of the international community, they already closed the borders. So Jews in Germany were already not able to flee the country, because there was no countries anymore where they could go to. And in this time, the UK did one program. They accepted 10,000 children from Germany who could come to the UK, and like this had a chance to survive. And we wanted to transport this idea to the reality of 2014, which at this time was mainly the war in Syria. And many people in Germany were shocked of the brutality and had this feeling of helplessness. That also, this feeling of it's happening, but we can't do anything. And this, we think, is also it's a political decision that we get this feeling, because there are no, maybe in words we say we want to help, but there are no really programs that make it easy to help. It's always, there are a lot of limits set. So we said, okay, we will make it easy. We take this concept from the history and we translate it to the reality. And we did a whole political campaign in the name of the ruling party at this time. And we said, if you want to change the background of this child, you can take a child into your family as a host in a way. And we created this whole campaign around it. We did leaflets, we did the whole bureaucratic process. We did documents where people could register on the website. We put this is Manuela Schwesig. It was a politician at this time, and we made it all in her name. We did like an election campaign for her. She was a family minister. So we said, if you take over this program, we designed it for you. You just have to say yes, and you can do it. And it will help you to become a chancellor, because the population will love you so much. And what happened is, here you can see part also of the election campaign that we did for her. Here we had an actress who took all the flowers that people were bringing in order to say thank you to her. Here you can see some media response. And what happened is that really a lot of people were calling. We had hotlines and email so that the people could really register to take a child. And there was a lot of response from the society. And what we did also is that we invited Holocaust survivors who survived thanks to the real program that took place in 1930s and 40s. And we asked them to speak about the situation today and if they would support such a program. So we invited them and we went with them to the Chancellery to speak there. And I will show just a little video that gives some impression of the different media and yeah, the different ways we work with in a project. For example, there's most time a website, there's a lot of video material, and I will just give a little impression.
إن شاء الله بالمستقبل يحكي تاريخ عن اللي صار بالسنة 2014 اللي هي السنة السوداء. أمام المجتمع الدولي كانت سنة 2014 سنة إن شاء الله بالمستقبل يحكي تاريخ عن اللي صار بالسنة 2014 اللي هي السنة السوداء.
Thank you.
إن شاء الله بالمستقبل يحكي تاريخ عن اللي صار بالسنة 2014 اللي هي السنة السوداء.
She's saying, let's hope that the historians in the future will judge us in a certain way.
أمام المجتمع الدولي كانت سنة 2014 سنة سيئة.
2014 was a dark year. There was not much good from the international community for the people in Syria.
شيء وحيد صار فيها كان قصة الأطفال اللي
There's
انتقلوا
one
من
big
سوريا.
exception, the story of the Syrian emergency program.
دعوني أقضي طفولتي في ألمانيا. أريد أن أعيش مع
This is some other videos we produced. One of our team members went to Syria and talked there to the kids. And she's saying, for example, help me to improve my childhood and that I can be in Germany for some time. I would be happy if I could be in a Muslim family. I promise I will respect you and bring joy. Please let me pass. And this is some videos we produced for the that people could call in order to pick the child.
Bundesministerium für Familie, Senioren, Frauen und Jugend. Also unsere Telefone stehen im Prinzip gerade nicht still.
Yeah, from here it shows that there were a lot of calls and big interest for this. Oops. Ah, yeah. So this is one example how we work. And the next one is in 2015. At this time, for some years, we were focusing a lot on the question of the Mediterranean and the mass killings that are happening in the Mediterranean. And at this time, we still thought that it's something that the public doesn't know about and that it's very important that everyone knows about in order to stop the drownings that are happening there every day. And here in 2015, what we did is we researched in Sicily and in Greece what is happening with all the deaths. There are hundreds of people dying, and what is happening to the bodies. And we talked to biologists and researchers, and they explained us that a lot drown immediately in the sea, so they are never found. And that like this, the number of the people who die is much, much higher than what we know, than the official numbers that we get. And then the bodies that are found on the beaches, they are most time not buried in in a proper way. For example, the people have the documents in their pockets because they want to come to Europe to work and to have a proper life, to support their families back in their home countries. But for example, the authorities take the documents from them and bury them anonymous. Or in Greece, there's already in 2015, there were mass graves because the authorities couldn't or didn't want to take care. So what we said is that every human deserves proper burial. And here, for example, this was one hospital where the bodies were put in this fridge, and they were also buried anonymous in Sicily. And what we did is we spoke to some members of the families. We found out the contacts of the families and informed them. Also, many times they are not even informed. The authorities don't even take the step and the attempt. And the families stay all their lives. They don't know what really happened and if the son or daughter is alive or not. So we got in touch with two of the families and we asked them if they would agree to bring two of the bodies to Germany in order to do a proper burial over there. And here's one, for example, how you see it's put it in an anonymous way. And what we did is we wanted to do proper burials, and we were communicating that we will bring 10,000 because everyone who's dying there deserves a proper burial. And we invited all the politicians who are responsible for this. At this time it was Chancellor Merkel, for example. We reserved them a seat in the funeral so that they could watch and attempt the funeral that they are responsible for. So this is the first funeral that we did with the imam, because also this is one thing that in Sicily all the funerals are done in a Christian way. They don't even care which religion has the victim. In Greece it's other way around. So we also of course wanted to do it according to the religious standards, background. And the family also, they were able after this to at least have a place to mourn their family members. And there was a lot of public from Berlin. The media was there, the national media, and observing what's happening. And they saw it as a scandal and that not appropriate. While we were saying we just give appropriate funeral to a person who died. And of course, at this time we were saying we bring thousands, we will do this the whole time, we won't stop anymore. So this was the next step. After a few days, we said, okay, we won't be able to bring everyone as a small art group. It's not in our hands to do all this. So instead, we do a memorial in front of the Chancellery so that the ones who are politically responsible have to step over it and know the consequences of what they are doing, deciding in the Chancellery every day. And this memorial says, for the unknown immigrants. And okay, it was in front of the Chancellery, so of course we didn't get all the, let's say, documents to do it. So instead what we did is we were calling to the civil society to come and do a march with us, a protest. And thousands of people were coming to support. And they brought crosses and flowers. And then what happened is that the protest was coming in a like kind of a corner where they couldn't move anymore, couldn't go forward and to the sides. And this, I don't know if someone of you maybe was in Berlin, this is in front of the Reichstag, like the main political building. And usually where you see all the people now, there's grass. And at this time, it was all fences around, so no one was allowed to enter this space. And the protest, the people who were attending, they pushed the fences to the side and ran all over the space, and they were erecting symbolic graves for all the ones who are dying in the Mediterranean. So this was an act of, a spontaneous act of rebellion, you can say. And it wasn't even known by us if this could happen and how it could happen. So this is moments of political beauty, what we say. And this here you see the grass the day after. There was also some trouble for the politics because the Queen of England at this time was supposed to visit 2 days after, and then they had this mass in front of the chancellery. Here you see a headline of the Boulevard press that the grass is broken by protest. And this is, for example, something that we work with. It's a little in the style of IKEA, or when you buy something, you can easily know how to erect a symbolic grave, and we spread this on social media. And then what happened also, that people started doing symbolic graves all over Germany and even Europe. We got photos from a lot of people, and we were collecting them on a website also. This is another example that we also did regarding the refugees. It was 1 year later in 2016, and it was the biggest maybe project regarding this topic, and until now also the last. After this we started turning a bit more towards white extremism. So all the last years were focused on the right wing in Germany that became very dangerous. And here we wanted to go to the main problem, or to understand why people are dying on the way to come to Europe. Because it's always said that everything is so complicated, we cannot really understand what's happening, politics and legal aspects, and everyone always steps back from trying to understand what's happening because we are told it's too complex to understand. So we wanted to find the core answer of why things are happening. And then often you come into legal aspects. So we talk to international lawyers trying to understand. And the main answer is that there is one legislation, one EU directive that says that refugees are not allowed to come with the airplane, if you say it in a simple way. So we put it, we summarized it with this question that started the whole Aktion, the project. It's saying in German, Mom, why can refugees not just come by airplane? So we started with this very easy question. And we created an airline, kind of, and we called it the flight program of the German civil society. And these airplanes were supposed to bring refugees who were waiting to come to Germany in a legal way maybe waiting in Syria or in Turkey, to bring them in a safe way to Germany, when this EU directive would be cancelled. So it was the goal of the project to cancel this EU directive. We said, this is, you have it written, this is the reason, and yeah, one of the things we will look from the future when we look to the past as a historian, it will come to this legislative, why we let people die. It's not by coincidence that this is happening. So we said this legislation has to be cancelled, and we were thinking, what all can we do in order to provoke that it will be cancelled. And as soon as it's cancelled, we have the airplanes ready, and people can reach safely. And we got in touch with 100 refugees who were waiting in Turkey at this time. And we checked their statuses, and it was clear that as soon as they would touch German ground, they would have the right to stay. With all the international law and the German law, they would have the right for asylum. It's only that there is no way no safe way to come. And also for example, a flight ticket or a ferry, the tickets are not so expensive, and these people, most time, it's not that, yeah, they would have the money. It's not, they don't come by walk because they don't have the money. It's a reason that they don't have the legal access. And like this, they have to spend thousands and thousands on a very, very dangerous route with a big percentage where they would lose their lives. So what we did is we built an arena in front of the Maxim Gorki Theater in Berlin. It's one of the or the only state theater in Berlin that supported our projects in the past. And also this project was a cooperation with the theater. So we had this arena in front of the theater for 10 days. And there were 4 tigers inside. We said it were 4 Libyan tigers. And they were representing, in a way, the Mediterranean. And we were calling out for refugees to let themselves eat by the tigers if this legislation is not cancelled. This is why the project was called Eating Refugees. And this was the threat, in a way, that we put to the government. You have to cancel this law, otherwise there are refugees ready, waiting here to jump into the cage and being eaten alive. So this caused a lot of trouble, of course, and people was, oh, do we have the camera? And people were saying, of course, how you can, how can you do such a provocative thing? How can you call refugees to be eaten alive? This is so brutal. But actually there were very quickly a lot of refugees living in Germany calling us and saying, this makes totally sense for us. We are ready to go into the cage. We understand what you want to say with it. And this is the pressure and the attention that we need on the topic. For them, they feel every day with friends and family who are maybe taking the same route and knowing the dangers. So we had very quickly, some people who spoke up about this. Here you can see a bit the place, how we build it up. This is called the Gate of the Venus Libitina. We did it all in the Roman style. Like the Roman games, in a way, that politics are playing nowadays. We translated it in this way. That's why that's the guy who took care of the tigers. We presented our tigers here. This is the first one. We had some actors of the theater. Every evening there was kind of a show and discussions with people who passed by. So it was very interactive in a way, and a lot was happening on different levels. So there was this level at the theater, you can say. Then there was the political level to try to reach the parliament to cancel this law. Then of course we work a lot in the digital world with social media, website, videos, all this kind of things. We started this project with a press conference inside of the theater. So this is also how we use the classical theater stage, you can say. And here we have May Scarf. She was one of the first refugees who spoke up and said, "I'm ready to be eaten." And I have a small part of her speech that she was giving here to the journalists in order to make them understand. This is first another one. It just gives a bit impression about the
Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Schön, dass Sie es an diesem Vormittag in Skopje geschafft haben. Wir sind vom Zentrum für politische Schönheit.
This is the starting point of the project where we present everything in front of journalists.
Die aktuelle
And
Aktion
here in the
vorstellen.
corner you can see okay.
So was macht man nicht.
Im Folgenden
This is what I wanted to show. In the corner you can see Joachim Gauck. He was the president at this time of Germany. So we all did it in his name because he talked always a lot. Now he's not the president anymore, but he always talked a lot about human values and how important it is. So we said if you take your work serious, you can become the representative of this project, and we do it all in your name. And even the airplane, the first airplane of the airline that we founded was called Joachim I. So his name was Joachim Gauck.
die aktuelle Aktion vorstellen.
So was macht man nicht.
Eigentlich fast
This is
barbarisch,
just
würde ich
an
jetzt mal
example for
sagen.
some reactions of the
Heftig.
people.
Die Leute checken
Always
es
a
ja
lot
scheinbar
of
nicht anders, weil jeder weiß, was
different
passiert. Jeder weiß, das
emotions,
zeigt sich nicht
anger,
dass Kinder daran
understanding.
sind. Jeder weiß
Here
eigentlich,
you see
dass
the
was
area
dagegen machen
where we
könnte.
did it.
Strahlt nicht mehr, Europa kämpft nicht mehr. Sie spielt nun nur noch Spiele.
Die Fluggesellschaft, die werden für uns. Wer weiß, worunter sich der Tod befindet.
Der gute Flüchtling ist eines der beliebtesten Gesellschaftsspiele.
Mein Name ist May Scarf. Die einzige Rolle, die ich derzeit spiele, ist jene,
He says the only role I'm playing is the one that I'm allowed to play, the one of the refugee.
ich bin Flüchtling.
I am a refugee.
Ich weiß, dass ein Umlenken Zeit braucht.
I
Aber
know,
ich erwarte innerhalb der nächsten Tage ein deutliches Zeichen,
I know it
dass die
takes time
Politik
to
bereit
understand
ist,
things,
das
but I want a
unmenschliche
clear
Gesetz zu
message.
ändern.
Die Frau, die wir vorhin gesehen haben, wir haben ja ihre Geschichte gehört.
She said it takes time to for the public consciousness sometimes to understand things and to change on things, but that it's not the time to wait, and that she needs urgency in this thing. That's why she's ready to go into the cage. I will continue. It's here also. That's kind of the tension that we wanted to build up, you know. For 10 days there was a countdown also, and putting the pressure on the government to discuss it. And we had some support from some party members who were able to bring it into the parliament. Here quickly just you can see the website. People could vote which people were allowed to come first. So it always has this sarcastic part also that we're kind of playing with. Here you can see another girl who was speaking up. She just came 1 or 2 years before from Syria. And here we had the countdown of the date until we had to finish the decision. And in the end there was the election again in the parliament, so they could vote. So it really happened, and they voted for keeping the law as it is. And like this, we have the names. Later, we could see on the videos who was voting, and only the left and the Green Party, I think, voted against this law, and all the other ones, the ruling parties and opposition parties also at this time, they were voting for the dying, so to continue the murder in the Mediterranean. And more even, the government interfered also to cancel the flight. So we had the first flight ready with 100 people to bring them from Turkey, and even thought the law was not cancelled, we wanted to bring them. And to bring an example that it's possible, but the government interfered and cancelled the flight with the airline. But until now, they say they didn't interfere, because this is a big break of the law also, that government is not allowed to interfere in the private economical, you can say. And this is why we put the legal case against the government also later, and we wanted to answer this question in a legal way after this. And sadly, it didn't go through, because the judge said that the airline doesn't exist anymore. We didn't, of course, we don't have our own planes, so we were renting the airplane from an existing airline. It was Air Berlin at this time, and this airline doesn't exist anymore. So this is why the judge didn't continue with the whole progress, the whole case. And in the end, also to answer your question, there was a final day, and a lot of media and public was there to see someone being eaten alive. And in the end, May gave the speech again. And this is, like, you can say, the main message she was giving. I can quickly read it also. Here we should have killed to show that it was I have to say, it was from the viewpoint of the tigers that she was giving the speech. So here we should have killed to show that you are acting like animals, but you are not acting like animals. You have strayed from us to be better than us, but you just have strayed from yourselves. We cancel the final. In the name of the tigers, we leave you alone with your dilemma. We are not the solution. We are the sad performers of your doom. This is too real to be played. So in the end, the tigers were kind of saying that humans are more brutal than them, because tigers just eat to fill their hunger, and humans... This was for me one of the most shocking parts, that really a lot of people came to see people being eaten alive. I didn't believe it, but at this time I was doing the coordination of the media, of the journalists, and one, for example, one of the biggest broadcaster, she was asking me very seriously, and now there won't be someone being eaten, okay, why we came. And this for me was like, okay, wow, you really mean it. This is what you come from. You really don't get what is it about. Yeah, as I said, from there we turned the focus a bit inwards to internal politics. And since some years we have the AfD. It's a white extreme party, you can say. They were, like many parties all over Europe or all over the world, hiding a bit, like a white populist, not so dangerous party. But it became more and more clear that it is an extreme party. And this is one of the main politicians. He was more on the side for a long time. He has his radical wing in the party, you can say, but now also he's coming more and more to the center, and his radical views are normalized a lot. And for example, he has speeches where it's very clear, it has been analyzed by journalists, that he uses the vocabulary from the Nazi time and from Goebbels and Hitler. He has very clear words that are not used in any other context. And you know very much where his ideology comes from, and his plan that he goes through. And what we did here is, it started with a speech in 2017, beginning of 2017, that he was doing. It was, the main message was that the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin is a memorial of shame, and that Germany needs a 180-degree turnaround of the memory politics. So in the end, that it's revisionist of the history of Germany, and it was a very, very critical point, that things like this can be said publicly in Germany again. And it's one of the dangerous things also about these people, that they always know how to play the media game, and they observe better, I think, than all the other parties. They know how the rhetorics work and how the media works, and they observe very well the public discussion and analyze the points where they can drop, let's say, a new bomb that is discussed a lot and that is a no-go of what can be said. And then it's discussed for some time, but then they know it will calm down. And even thought it's criticized a lot, things get normalized. And things that are said here go a bit more into the center of what's accepted as normal. And we can see in the last 5, 6, 7 years, now things are being said that would have not at all been possible 10 years ago. Absolute no-go. Regarding refugees and immigrants, and now at the moment regarding Muslims and anti-Arabic hate. It takes a huge, dangerous jump right now. But yeah, this was 2017, and it was a point where we said, okay, the public discussion will calm down in a bit, but we want to stick with it. And what we did is we started observing Höcke. We found out where he lives. We went to his village, and here you can see on the photo we rented the house beside his house. His neighbor. We became his neighbors. So like this, we lived for some months without knowing, without that anyone knew about it. And we could observe a bit, like what is he doing? And it's in a region of Germany, also in Thüringen. It's one of the regions. You have some villages where it's very normal to be white. And even the police is not really, doesn't really have control about a lot of things anymore. So it's in this kind of area. Here you can see the original Holocaust memorial in Berlin. And what we did, because he said this memorial is a memorial of shame, we constructed a small version of it in his neighboring garden. So here you can see the construction work. We had to do it secretly, of course, otherwise they would have found ways to stop it. So we were having kind of we were saying something like, we're doing an engagement surprise, so we told all the neighbors to be silent on it, and they were kind of, interested what's happening there. And then next morning, when Hirke woke up and he watched out of his window, he could find this memorial of shame in his neighbor garden. So we were saying, if you say what you say, we do the opposite. You have to watch at the memorial every day until you really learn about history. And with this, together with this, we did a surveillance campaign. We said we surveyed him a long time, and we have a lot of secret details about him. And we threatened him, if you don't kneel down in front of the memorial and excuse to the victims of history, we will publish some details that we found out about you. So actually in the German public, this memorial and the idea of it, there was a lot of support for it. But then we always have this part that is seen a bit critical, and they were like, no, even if he's white, you are not allowed to survey him and find details about him. So this was kind of a very big outcry about what we did. And on top of it, we had his pseudonym. Before he became a politician, he was writing for a far-right magazine with the pseudonym Landolf Ladig. And the public didn't know that it's him. And we wanted to make it just more public, like how white and how dangerous he really is. So we published also some texts that he was writing under this pseudonym. And this NPD party is a very, very far-right party in Germany, like even more far-right than the AfD. So we were saying he should become member of this party, and we did a whole election campaign for him. This was in his neighbor village. He found this election campaign for him. We did an online shop. People could buy some stuff. The photo is showing him with another white extreme politician that, of course, in public he doesn't want to be shown with because he says, I'm fine, I'm not so white. We were searching for details. It's saying, who knows this man? And here we were showing later a bit, we were faking that we were surveying him. And in the end, we just took photos that were public already. So people were like, oh, you release private photos of him. How can you do this? There was a big outcry for protecting his rights. And in the end, we showed how easy it was. All the photos were online already. We could just add some filters on them. Or here you see with the camera, we just could, a very easy manipulation of media. That was, or here it was a photo. It's taken from his house. So people were thinking we went to his house to take the photo. But in the end, it's one of his supporters who showed this photo to the TV. And we just took the screenshot from the TV. So it's just to show some of the methods we are playing with. Sometimes it's very small things that can create some huge effect. And then later when you say, but we just did like this, you're still on the safe side. Because this got a legal case also. It's also part of a lot of projects that we get legal cases, and it goes to court. And this was one thing how we could protect ourselves. And actually this one, it went into history because 1 year later, in this time, when we did the project, Höcke, the politician, was saying this group is the terrorist group. It's not a group of artists, it's terror. And it was funny for us, and we take it for our marketing. We say, for example, for our donators, if you want to be a part of a terrorist group, join us and you can help us financing. But what we didn't know at this time is that he and some state judges really put a case against us as a terrorist group. So here you see the list is, we were put on a list with ISIS and Al-Nusra. So it was the first time in German history that an art group was searched at as a terrorist group. The problem, of course, of this is that it's a certain paragraph. It's a known paragraph 129 in the German law. And people or the state sometimes is very interested to put this paragraph on groups because with this paragraph they are allowed to do everything. It takes away all your rights. From this point they can search, go into privacy, phones, surveillance, everything. This is why they like to use it against political groups. Yes, also in Germany, this is the sad reality. And now at the moment they use it a lot against climate activists, for example. It's, And luckily with this one, we were able to make it public and we made a big thing out of it. And at this time, we had the support of journalists and civil society, cultural institutions were speaking out for us. And there was some good research about this state judge who was putting the case. And they found out that he had very extreme cases already, where he always goes against left activists and puts very not equal judgments on them. So in the end, he had to leave his position, and he's in a much lower position now. So it's the way also we deal with things. We try not to, let us put down by this, but other way around. Another project that also had a lot of legal consequences, it's a bit more up to date also until now. This project was in 2020. And to be honest, it wasn't the biggest project. And for us, we didn't think it's a very, let's say, scary project for the state. But it's turned out to be enough that the military secret services got afraid by our project, and they also put surveillance on us because of this project. And the reason is what you see here. We did a campaign in their name. It's saying, where are our weapons? Because the military has a lot of missing weapons, and it's more or less known that they are hiding with some extreme groups also, especially from the special forces. It's known that they have a certain amount of white extremists in the military. And there is a secret service, it's called MAD, and they are responsible, they should be responsible to find these weapons. But because they were not doing enough, we said we will help you, and again we will put a campaign for you. And this is what we did. We built a website. It's saying where are our weapons, send us informations. Here also where are our weapons, and down you can see all the list of the weapons that are missing. Here we built up a container, also again in front of the chancellery, so people could come and get an amnesty if they put their weapons back. So we were saying, like, you have time until a certain date, 1 week. We give you the chance, come and bring your weapons. Here you have some interest. We were putting warnings also. This is, for example, in South Germany, where we know where a lot of this white militant live, and where it's also most probable that they hide the weapons in their gardens, because in the past there were some searchings and some findings of weapons, for example, hiding in basements, in a garage, in the garden. So there were some findings, and mainly it's in this one region in the south of Germany. So especially over there, we went and put a warning, life in danger. The military is warning there are a lot of missing weapons. We have to find them now. So like this, the public was also, getting some awareness about this. And also what we did is, and that was the scary part for the secret services, we faked some letters in the name of the Secret Service, sending it to many military stations all over Germany. And it was written mainly, the main message was, be a good soldier, be a good representation of the democratic state. Don't, if you have any hints to where the weapons are or who is hiding them, tell us. Be a good democratic. Like this was the main message. We put the logos also of the military, so it looked quite real. And we got a lot of feedback also from the officers asking, oh, is this campaign real? And the interesting thing is that we got some real hints about weapons. So it worked in a way. So like this also we know if the secret services would want to do more, they could, because people are reacting. And also we were able to collect some serious information that we could give to the police also. Of course, hoping that they make use out of it. So this is another project, and it's very late. It was 2020 in autumn, and just beginning of this year, we got the information that they took it very seriously, and that they put the espionage program on us. They even they were kind of testing new digital tools against fake news and propaganda on us, on our project. And now I forgot to put the screenshot of it. There is a very interesting brochure, like information PDF that the military spreads now for their members, that informs about how fake news works. And it's all the examples of the project that we were doing. So it's kind of compliment also for our work and for our graphic designers and the people who worked on it. But at the same time, for me, it's very scary because if this is a real danger, I mean, you just have to go to the website and you see it's an art project, it's a theater project. If even this small, easy steps they are not able to do, I don't know how much we are in danger against serious fake news and other cyber attacks or whatever, if this is the level of that our military works on right now. It's a quite old, very the bureaucracy is still in the 80s in Germany. We don't catch up with cyber and digitalization and all these things. So yeah, it's just a side aspect of this project. Another example also how we deal with with the extremists. This was in 2018. And there was this, I don't know if probably it was not in the news here so much, but it was a very big historic events taking place in Chemnitz. It's a city in the east also of Germany, but it's a big city. It's not a small town, and it was the first time in history, after Second World War, of course, that the white parties, as the AfD, for example, that until then the public was still saying they are not so dangerous, they are just white, but it's fine to be white. But on this day, they marched together with all the groups from white up to very extreme and militant groups. And they did a huge protest in Chemnitz, and it completely went out of control. There was not enough police to secure it, and it's the first time after, not the first time, but on this day it happened that immigrants in Chemnitz were threatened, and they were running behind in the streets in the city center. Jews or whoever looks not the way they want someone to look were threatened and attacked in the city center in the daytime in a German city. Plus, they were showing a lot of Hitler salute, like the Nazi sign, which is also illegal in Germany. So it was a day also where it's always this kind of things are kind of a starting point for our projects, where we don't know yet what we are doing, but sometimes we decide, okay, we will just keep on having an eye on this. It's something we cannot just let it go with the normal attention going down. We have to keep observing it. And we were checking if there were legal measurements against them, but they were only some very small ones. And we said it can be a turning point for German history if this becomes normal. So what we did, we were saying people who like this are a danger not only for other people but for the democracy itself. And this is why they don't deserve to keep their privacy and to continue as they do. So what we were doing, we were using a tool that was scanning all the videos that existed from this protest, and we were identifying people out of the, taking them out of the privacy. And we did a website showing them, and we were researching also details. And here, for example, SOCO is like a police department. It's like a bit like CSI Chemnitz, we called it. And it's saying, searched, where are these idiots working? And this is, for example, some of the people who were on this protest. It's people who on the Facebook accounts we could find people, photos like this. So this is what we said. This is it's a danger for the whole state, for the whole democracy. And And this also, it was a big outcry because people were saying that we use the same methods that the white are using. Like we spy on people, or we search the details on them. We take away the right to privacy, and this is it's like we shouldn't use the same methods that they use against them. Yeah. Otherwise, we also don't have the right to call for our privacy, and it's very understandable. But we were saying they are a threat for the whole country, so we have to. We cannot just let go anti-democratic tendencies like this. But this outcry, we also played with it in the end, and we kind of turned it around because on this website where we presented all the people, mainly it were people who were in public already, so we used this trick again, that mainly it were things that they themselves maybe posted on social media, public figures, politicians. So we were saying we did more, but in the end what we did, it was kind of legal also always. And also on the website you could search for people and you could send more information on people also. So what we say, and we called it a honeypot, that who goes first on the website? It's the people who are afraid to be on the website. So if someone was on this protest and he hears about this website, he will go, oh no, I hope I'm not on it. So like this, we were able to kind of collect data. It was kind of like a honeypot attracting all the information. We were it was like analytics saying that if someone searches first for himself, then maybe he's not into it, but then he will put a name of someone he knows, and then maybe another name who's connected, and another name, and like this you can guess, you can find network information. So like this, for example, we could get some names who most probably were on the protest because they were searched on a lot, and we could identify that it's some people who work in the authorities, in the state offices. And this is some information in the end also that we could present to the police and to the legal authorities in order to take care of it. It's like some service we did for them. Yeah, this is one of the other, it's a bit like, I think the main project that we're known with in the last years, the one is the Höcke, the monument that I was showing. And this one also, it got quite big and known in Germany. It was in 2021. We had the election campaign, the national election. And the AfD was still there. It's the second elections that they were taking part in. And already at this time, they had like 14% or something. And also it was the same message that anti-democratic, or does the anti-democratic party has the right to use democratic ways if in the end they just use them to eliminate democracy. It's, Also another project was mainly on this question, on the danger in general of I think it's not only Germany, but mainly probably with the history that anti-democrats, fascists know how to use democrat methods in order, in the end, to eliminate democracy. So it was, we were against them, of course, taking part in the election campaign. Also, as soon as they are member of the parliament. They get state funds in order to grow their party and to do a more election campaign. So this is something very contradiction that you use democratic taxes in the end, taxes of the people, to finance a party that is against all the basis that the democracy works on, against the constitution. So we felt we have the right with this to take away some election material of the AfD. What we were doing is we were founding a fake company. It's called Flyer Service Hahn. And we were trying to reach out to party members who were organizing the election campaign. And we were saying we are specialized, the best company in Germany specialized on how you distribute election materials to the people. You know, they usually go around, they put it in the post box, and we were collecting like this huge amount of propaganda, you can say. And it was all already printed by them, because one criticism of this project was that it's not good for the climate, that we print so much material that in the end is not used. It's a waste. It's kind of, very German way of thinking, I think. But we could, or it's true that we didn't even print the materials. It was one of the biggest slogans of Flyer Service Hahn is, we are the laziest distribution company on the world. We just collect. We just got the transporter to go to the cities to collect all the material. And we had our halls where we could just keep it. And that's it. That's everything the company is doing. And we were promising that we distribute it until the election campaign starts, but we didn't. So this is what we published few days after the election. Of course, for first there's all the media attention is on the results of the election, but when it calmed down a bit, we came out with this information. We collected huge amounts of election material, actually several tons, 4 containers full, and we were presenting it to the public. Then also the people of civil society could come and take a bath into the material. And in the end, of course, we didn't want to keep it, so we were thinking what to do with it, and we just brought it to a recycling company. And most time they told us that with this kind of recycled paper, it's used for toilet paper, for example. Another one I quickly go through, another, I would say, smaller project. It was last year, of course, regarding the current situation with Ukraine. And it was mainly the question of how to treat war criminals and to put more the topic of the legal consequences. So we did kind of a campaign that everyone could participate in deciding Putin's fate. We were searching for him, putting these charts all over. And this is part of the website. It's all in the name of the International Criminal Court. Thank you for cooperating with the ICC. Together we will bring the idiot to justice. And you could vote for different ways how he should be put to justice. I can show some of the videos. There were a lot of different ways he could be punished. And main intention was, of course, to motivate Ukrainians. So yeah, the full website was full. The whole website was full with videos of different ways to punish him, and a lot of people, in the end, voted for the different options. I quickly jump back to the Höcke project. I just wanted to give some impression of how it looked there in the village where we did the memorial.
Nein, okay, das ist verschwindet hier!
Die benehmen sich wie eine Bürgerwehr.
Nicht zeigen. Das demonstriere ich.
Oh, Schluss! Die haben kein Flugrecht!
Nur weg! Hau ab!
Sie haben kein Flugrecht!
Verschwinde!
Yeah, just to get an impression how it looks in the village where we did the memorial, and also how we work in different areas. Like, we're mainly based in Berlin, but we're going sometimes to these places where it's necessary to do something also. Like Chemnitz, where was this protest. This was in Bornhagen in the village. And the people you saw in front of the house, they were the party members of Höcke's party. And this is how strong they are in these villages already. We had really problems. Our team members who were there taking care of everything, they were not able for some days to enter the house. And we were asking the government of this state, Thüringen, to protect us, and he promised us to send police and protection, but it didn't even work. I don't know, the authorities didn't listen to him, or he didn't really do it, he just promised. But this is the level of aggression in some places. And yeah, they were even pushing, like attacking one of the team members, and some car of some other people who were helping were broken in the night. So it was this aggressive tension that our team members were not even able to sleep in this apartment. We were sending them to other cities to be safe in the night. Yeah, just quick jump back and this was part of the project last year with regarding Putin and the punishment. Again, we also did this scripture Deti in front of the Chancellery in Berlin in order to remind them of their political responsibility. It was, of course, taking connection to the theater in Mariupol that was bombed. And one last project I want to present, and then I will close. It's the Jean Monnet Bridge. It was also one of the smaller projects, I would say, but I think one of the very simple but beautiful messages. It was with some funding by the Art Week in Vienna, in Austria. So we were making it all in the name of the Austrian government. They had a new minister at this time, I think the one who was for construction also responsible. And we were saying in his name that we will build a bridge from North Africa to Europe, that also no one has to die anymore crossing. And there were even plans in the past that even it could be possible. So yeah, we wanted to put this, if it's possible or not in a realistic way, I don't know, but it's a statement, of course, and this is the beauty of the simple ideas sometimes. And we did the whole project plan. So again, that the government could just say, okay, we do it, we take care of it. This was this minister I was talking about. His name was Christian Konrad. Here we put quotes in his name. We were writing for him. It says, Austria may be a small country with limited resources, but our biggest and most important resource is humanity. So, and this was also the other part of it, that we were saying the bridge is very expensive and it will take a long time until it can be constructed. So until it's ready, we need some rescue platforms, so that from the moment, immediately, no one will drown anymore. And this was also to put an example that if there's political will for humanity, for human values, it can be done in very easy ways. And to show that it's really possible, we were constructing one of the platforms. We were saying there have to be 1,000 all over the Mediterranean. And in order to start with it, we will do the first one. And with our very limited budget, resources, also like a small art group, we were showing, okay, but at least already if we want, we can build one. And we wanted to make sure that it's really working. So it has an emergency phone, it has solar panels, you can see here. So if someone would be stranded there, he could really get help and survive with it. So this is an example of the rescue platform that was built. Of course, with the Austrian flag, because it was all in the name of the Austrian government. Yeah, this is the last project I want to show the simple messages that can be put. And to close also, the freedom and power of imagination that art brings into the world is far behind everything that has still been that has been realized so far. So we say that we need this sphere of freedom in our lives and in the mind also. in order to know why we do things and how we want things to be. And this is why we do it as an artist group and not, for example, as an activist group, because we think this is the role that art can play and has to play. And political beauty is something that always still has to be created. It's never done or never fulfilled. And what we do and what I presented here is some examples, some work of what we understand as a political beauty, and what we do with the means, what we call aggressive humanism. Yeah, I think this is how I would close for now, and thank you very much for listening. This is how we, talk to our donators. They can become accomplices of our work and support us and become a member of the terrorist organization. International. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Gabriela. So please welcome with the questions, if any.
Thank you very much. A lot of admiration for your work, for the projects. Very brief, 2-3 questions, asking for very short answers, I guess. The first is on this matter on the donations. I mean, small contributions are not enough, I guess, for such a big projects you're entering into. So I would like to know who are these enlightened donors, including if there are some public institutions in the sense of public trust funds, etc., etc. So who are the people who are supporting these very expensive, actually, endeavors? Second one, how do you get permits from public institutions in establishing these kind of installations? And because some of them are controversial for the, let's say, ordinary political life in a community or in the country. And the final one, have you ever been working beyond Germany? In other countries, do you have some affiliations with some other groups maybe in this region? Because some of these ideas, maybe not the ideas, but the methods, could be very, very valuable mentoring practices for some other groups in our countries. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I hope I remember everything. Otherwise, remind me. First about the permits. International. Yeah, first about the money. Yes, it's true. It's very expensive, what we do. It requires a big budget. And for example, one decision for this reason was to not do many small projects anymore during 1 year, but to try to focus everything on one as big as possible per year. And one big part is the donations. And actually they are, I think, a majority of the donations that we get is the small contribution. It's also always something when I hear big organizations saying this, every €5 helps, like I always cannot believe. But actually it's like this. We have the accomplice. You can become with €100 per year, not monthly, but spread during the whole year. And this is the amount that helps us a lot. And like this, we have a certain amount of people who support us regularly. And also this is what we communicate, that it doesn't have to be much, but regularly is what's very helpful. Because of course, I think in every project, in every field, you somehow need to plan. And the first thing you think about is, of course, the budget that you have. And when you know you have this amount of regular people, okay, you will have this and this amount maybe next year. So this is one thing. Then other thing, also donation. But I didn't present this now, but a lot of the projects use crowdfunding. So additional to the regular ones, we have the crowdfunding, for example, for eating refugees. People could finance the flight from Turkey to Germany. So this was the goal of the crowdfunding. In the end, the flight didn't go because it was cancelled, but we used the money, for example, for the legal cases against the government. So still the donators support the case, of course. Also the memorial in Bornhagen was financed with the crowdfunding. So this is the second part we use. And then third part, and very important also, is project funding. But there are not many institutions who do this. We had one project I didn't talk about today in 2017 with the State Theater Kammerspiele in Munich. Matthias Lilienthal was the director at this time. He's very open for this kind of art. So this was one project. Then the Maxim Gorki Theater cooperated, financed a few projects. They are one of the most important partners that we have. And I think almost that's it. For example, the deaths are coming, what I was presenting. It was supposed to be financed by ZKM in Karlsruhe, but that's why we usually don't do it anymore, because they jump out of the project very short noted. Because for us it's difficult always while we work on the project to communicate what we are doing, because it's so critical, we have to keep it very secret. And then when they hear about it, they say, no, it's too critical. So before they always yes, do something critical, we support it, we know your work, we want to be behind it and finance it. But the problem is always that if you look back to the things, it's always easier to understand the criticism. But when you are in the project, it feels very harsh, of course. And most of the institutions cannot work with it. Okay, this is for the first question. I try to make it more short. Now, the second is not international, but...
Okay, about the food installations in public places, how do you obtain permits?
It's difficult to answer in a general way, because each project is so different. So mainly, we work a bit like classical theater, or sometimes I compare with the film production, that we have the production team who's responsible for this, and this can be, for example, one thing. When we did the container in front of the Chancellery, to register it as a film production, as a film shooting. This is, for example, just one example. It's very individual with the project, what can be done, and it's a big part of the work to see how far can we go. We try to do as much as possible in a secure way, in an official way, because there will be criticism anyway, and maybe legal measurements. But it's better to, we take the risk of legal cases, of course, but it's better to have them on the topics that we care about, and not to produce extra work with just because of some registration of something. But of course, it's connected a lot. For example, the arena with the tigers in front of the theater, it was done very correctly. The theater helped us with it and everything. It was it's in front of the theater. Of course, it's art. But there, the local authorities of the city part of Berlin were trying everything. The first days of the project, we thought it's a complete failure because it didn't reach the public. It took maybe 3 days. And it was with the help of the scandal that the boulevard media was saying this is not registered in a correct way. So sometimes the scandal or the attention starts with something very random, and this is only how it got into media and how then people started looking, what is this project about? And in the end, it ended up very, discussed a lot. Okay, this is just for example. And internationally, most of what we do is very, or especially in the last years, it's very close to the German politics and the issues that we have, to the history also. We take a lot of connections. But there has been, like Syria, for example, we worked also with people from Syria to communicate. But it's most time that we have the idea and we know what we want to do, and then very specifically we work with other projects to exchange maybe information, research, to get the help in the places. For example, for the Eating Refugees campaign, we had the projects that were working with refugees in Turkey who helped us get the connections. We had one other one that was dealing on the role of democracies, how democracies, with all the freedoms and rights that we have, how we use them to confront dictators. And with this, it was a competition to write leaflets against dictatorship, and it ended with some leaflets that were spread in Turkey on the Taksim Square, and because at this time it was already too dangerous to spread them by hand, we translated the ideas of resistance into 21st century with the means of the printer that works with the internet. So one team member was going to Turkey and installing the printer out of a hotel room at Taksim Square and kept the windows open. And he took the plane back to Germany. And when he reached Germany, we could start the printing process digitally. So the leaflets were printed. And this, for example, was we worked with some Kurdish group who wrote the leaflets. Some example of international cooperation. Yeah.
My first question is, what do you think, why is it not so accessible, your activity? Because I remember during the Prodi time in European Union, we could find all this information in main, let's say, main media, and why there is so much less solidarity than it used to be in the European Union. I think now if I didn't come to your presentation, I could hardly find out what's happening in Germany with these activities. And I've never heard of these activities like for 20 years. And I remember during the Prodi administration, well, we could see it was considered to be completely normal one to be activated in this kind of critical thinking and its expression. Mm-hmm. Second, do you consider yourself as a participative artist? So do you call your activity a participative art? And third, practical question, some of you are parents and have children, and do you think that I mean, you're experiencing great violence and stress, and do you ever regret it? Maybe you should have chosen something easier, and how it is? Do you have any counseling in your organization, psychologic advisory, whatever? I know how it is to be in your position. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I will start maybe with the last question. Of course, it's a topic, and for example, not everyone goes to the public. We have, for example, few people who present the projects and a lot who work in the background. And especially when we work with refugees who don't want to be in the public, or we protect, of course. And we try to use also the name that we have and the amount of people we can reach for others, so that we can raise their causes, their issues, without that they maybe have to do it in their name or So it's kind of a protection, I think we can offer, and not everyone is maybe using right name, and there's some measurements, but for some people, for example, the founders, Philipp Ruch, he's a figure that is most associated, I think, with the center, and it's a decision also to not hide, and because what the circumstances are we already living in, that it became normal to be threatened when you speak out your political opinion. 10, 20 years ago, it wouldn't be thinkable also that it's so common now again that many journalists are afraid, or even there are some people who are not active on social media anymore because they say it became too dangerous, or they already had some attacks. It's definitely something that's there and that we have to mind, and at the same time the decision to not completely step back, of course, because it's someone needs to be there and do the work. You mean then the first question was why it's not known so much?
Consider this to be a safe activity and a normal expression of a free democratic thought, and all of a sudden there's no solidarity from other countries within the European Union, nor from the mainstream media, and I think it used to be the opposite situation, though. The mainstream media was supporting the activities of this sort. It was considered to be the very good ones for the economy and for the democracy, for the maintenance and development of economic and democratic landscape. And I think when, I'm not sure whether I'm right, but I located when the Prodi administration was changed, then all of a sudden we entered this post-reality and hybrid democracies around Europe. I don't think that only in Eastern Europe there are hybrid democracies. I think these big countries also have this hybrid communicative pattern, and I think it's a reminiscence of a democracy. It's not it's not democratic as it used to be.
I think you have more experience because you experienced more the past than me. I can only speak for the last maybe 10 years, and I agree that it became more closed, more tense also, and also regarding media in the way they discuss things, or especially also with COVID, it was a big, since all the big topics, since then there's always one topic that is discussed and not more, and always in a certain way, and always for example, I observe that there's less real reflection on what we do. It's maybe just reporting, but there are less and less journalists who have the will really to think about certain things and to analyze it in different levels. And also, I think what I know from journalists is the way they work and the pressure they have to just produce articles in a very quick way and to just take what the agencies write for the articles. It's a big question how the whole media has a role in it. Yeah, and it's something that is also, of course, we put thought into the project in the way we develop. The idea is how far do we have to go? How much of a provocation needs to be there in order to cross, to get through the main discussions? May it be the football world championship, whatever is the topic at this time, but how much do you have to do in order to get into this discussion, to be considered something? And this is also why, of course, it needs sometimes this radical approach that even for us sometimes it's a bit painful. But to be able to raise the questions and to put the focus on the humanitarian topics. Yeah.
Participative artists, you don't consider yourself participative artist?
I would say it is participative. It's I would say we open something, and then we have most of the time ways that the public can take part in it also. For example, maybe the Eating Refugees project. There were a lot of discussions, and it was wanted also, like it was a daily part of the schedule that the actors of the theater and of the arena were participating, and the vote. The crowdfunding, okay, is a part also, but when we had the deaths are coming, the protest, we consider everyone who comes to the funeral or to the protest, they become part of the project. And when, for example, when we had the symbolic graveyards all over Europe, I see it as something that we put a little, we give something to the world. We prepare it in a certain way. We make our mind how it could go. But the moment we go out with it, we release it, to the civil society, you can say, and they can do out of it also what they want. And just one more example for participation is in 2014 we called it the first fall of the European wall, and we were collecting money for 2 buses. It was supposed to be 1, but we had so much funding and activists that it were 2. For buses of activists who could go to the European border to pull down the fences. It was because at this time we had the Memorial Day of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and it's a very big memorial always. And we said, but we have a new wall, and people are dying. Now people are even shot, and no one cares. Same things can happen. And if our memory, the politics of memory, if they are dead, if the words and the celebrations they do, they are empty. It's not connected to. It's not a real remembrance. That's how we say we call it active remembrance also. To look to the reality of today also, and same things are happening again. So of course, it can't be a real remembrance when we don't really learn out of it. Yeah, long answer.
I think that we can conclude the session once again.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Gabriela.
Thank you.